rapid pace out here early in the second. LeVert, hey, knocks it down. Rondo's on the run. Stops. Hits Love. Love fires. Cavs reset with a fresh 14. Under 3 to go in the half. Garland works on Holiday. Lost it for a moment. Shovels to Mobley. Garland. Step back. Three.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening live to episode number 38 of the All Things Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. As always, I am your host, Brandon Lewis, alongside my co-host, Joey Schneider.
What's going on, Brandon? What a crazy day. Just before we came on and started recording, almost right as you're about to hit the record button, what happened? Baker Mayfield is no longer on the Cleveland Browns. He has been traded to the Carolina Panthers for some cap relief and a conditional 5th-round pick in 2024. I know that this is a basketball and Cavaliers podcast, but you know, as me as a Browns fan and you know, Cleveland in general, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. We can officially heal, kind of, maybe. I don't know. we still got to wait a lot of stuff. There's still a lot of moving pieces, but
for sure. And of course, we will let Ruben and Clarence, or our boys at Den of the Dogs, handle most of that Browns information. If you have not listened to them and all of our other Believe Land Media podcasts, by the way, make sure to go to BelieveLandMediaLLC.com. Check out all of the written content there. Plus, check out all of our podcasts and our YouTube channel. We do the video version as well as wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. But Joey, just like with the Browns and a lot of things going on with the Browns, shockingly here on July 6, 2022, we actually have realistic good topics to talk about today with our Cavs.
Has there been an episode since the Cavs season has ended that we have not had something to talk about?
There's been maybe one or two that we had to stretch it a little bit, but they've been, sort of relevant here and there. I think, thank goodness for the NBA giving us, whether it's been just stories around the league or the Cavs making moves. We have been pretty lucky, I would say, in that regard.
I agree 100%. I think the first thing that needs to be talked about, Darius Garland.
Ooh, man, got paid. Getting
himself his bag. A contract, 5 years, worth up to $231 million. I think it's 190 plus. But if he makes any of the either first, second, or third team All-NBA for the season, he can get up to $231 million. Unbelievable. 100% deserved. The kid is going to be a star in this league. He proved it last year. He was a star last year, all-star. What do you average? 23, 24, 25 points a game.
I think it was about 23.
Yeah, like 8. I think it was 8 or 9 assists. And those numbers are just going to go up as the Cavs improve, as they more players come. They start rounding out this team. This team starts figuring it out even a little bit more. This kid the sky's the limit. I mean, he could be the best point guard in the league in the next, really 2 to 3 years, in my opinion. So congrats to DG getting himself paid. That's one max contract, though. You can only have 2 on a team.
Yeah, that is the thing. And by the way, DG did score about 22 points and average 9 assists last season for our Cleveland Cavaliers. But I will say, the contract and the player is worth it when nobody around the league is saying, man, you know what? You kind of overpaid. I don't know if I would have given him that. You haven't really heard any of that, any criticalness from any of the media, which to me just shows that we have been advocating really since, the middle to the end of last season, which is this kid is just one of the best players in the NBA, period. He is, I would say at this point, the number one leader next to Jared Allen, kind of in that Cavs clubhouse. He is the guy, I think, the franchise guy that we are sort of looking to. And it is nice because now I think really for the first time since LeBron left LA, you can say like, hey, outside of Kevin Love, obviously, but you can say, okay, the Cavs have a franchise player locked in 4 years to come, and it officially means that the new era in Cleveland is officially here, and it is here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of players on this team. I think Evan Mobley's going to take a huge step next year. I think Jared Allen's going to do what Jared Allen does. I think he's going to be, right there, another all-star next year. LeVert, if they can figure out how to put him in the system, great piece. I think that he could also be a nice trade chip at the trade deadline if they're looking to upgrade. We drafted Agbaji, and supposedly he's doing amazing with the Cavs already. So we will see. But sticking on the note of more good things with the Cavs, we have re-signed the heart and soul of the Cavs last season before he went down. He won't be ready until they're saying maybe around December. But Mr. Ricky Rubio, 3 years, $18 million, will be a Cav for a pretty long time here. And I could not be any happier with this signing. Let the man heal. He really brought a winning culture to this team last year. And they were we knew that you thought they were going to be terrible. I knew that they were on the cusp of something great. And Ricky Rubio brought such leadership to him, to this team. He helped DG, he helped Colin Sexton, he helped whoever he could. And not only that, he was putting up great stats, and he gave his body for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So to see him come back on really a great deal, I think for both parties. He gets 3 years, $18 million, and he gets the heel. And when he is ready to come back, he's going to come back with a force, and he's going to help this team, definitely get into the playoffs big time next year.
I mean, for $6 million per year, absolute great job by President of Basketball Operations, Kobe Altman. Great job by Ricky Rubio getting this deal done. We know when Rubio does come back, he's going to be the anchor off the bench, the backup point guard for this team. Giving Darius Garland some rest, which we saw the Cavs desperately needed last year. And again, he is one of the only couple guys in this locker room that is a veteran presence. And the fact that he was here last year, obviously, he got shipped off to Indiana at the trade deadline, never played for them a game. So we essentially got Caris LeVert for free, because we also got a first-round pick back, if you really think about it that way, which is amazing in itself. Mm-hmm. But again, Rubio last year, how many times do we have to say, you just know what to do? It was the heart and soul of the team. The team trained drastically when he went down on December 28th against the Pelicans with that torn ACL. And, when he gets back, obviously I don't think there's going to be really any rush. I think it's going to take him, because he hasn't played basketball. It's going to be, maybe 8-9 months since he played basketball by the time he gets back. So when he does get back, we're not going to go all crazy and say, oh my God, Rubio's back, here we go. No, it's going to take him some time. But I think the good news is that when he does get right, and that may not be till later in the season, but he's going to help the Cavs big time. Exactly what they missed last season at the end of the season will be what they should have this year, which will get them over the hump and into a playoff spot and potentially past the first round of the playoffs, which we're all looking forward to the goal of this year anyhow. Yeah.
Rubio was just such a big part last year of the Cavs winning. I really feel, and when we interviewed Rafa, he said the same thing. I don't, if he comes back around December, maybe even January, we're not going to expect much from him. His leadership, I think, is going to be a massive addition. Just his presence on that bench is going to be a huge addition. But where he is going to come into a massive role is late February into March, in those dog days when they're fighting for a playoff spot, whether they're in the playoffs and trying to get a higher seed, or maybe they're on the fringe again trying to get in. He is going to be a difference maker at that point, once he is fully healed, once he has played a little bit. And that is a huge, huge thing for this Cleveland Cavaliers team. But I'm sorry, he was not the only signing.
No, he was not.
Me and you have talked about this a lot. The Cavs needed another big man because when Jared Allen went down, when Evan Mobley went down, the Cavs lost. Nothing against Moses Brown. He did the best that he could, but he's not a veteran. He's not been in the league long enough to really make the impact that the Cavs needed. So the Cavs went out and they signed Robin Lopez. I believe it was a 1-year deal, right?
Yes.
A 1-year deal, but we now have another big man to back up Jared Allen, to back up Evan Mobley, and it is huge to have that kind of presence, kind of that security on the bench, knowing when your big man needs a rest, you have a serviceable big man that can come in, give you good minutes, and you're not going to drop in production that much.
Exactly. And it's a guy who, and the Cavs, by the way, also had Ed Davis, but at the end of the year last year, he did not really play too much for some reason. They kind of went to Moses Brown. But now here with Robin Lopez, this is a guy, Joey mentioned it, he's a veteran guy. He's going to give you high quality minutes. He's not going to give you major production, but he's going to give you production, both points and rebounds. And the other thing that I love about this signing, and I alluded to it at the end of the show last week, Joey, the Cavs finally got that tough guy I've been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
The Cavs got that guy that has been there, done that. He will scrap, he will claw, he will get in your face, he will not let you push him around. And the Cavs have so many young kids that have not been in the bright lights yet. Him and Rubio, these two are going to be significant, and especially for Lopez, because listen, we saw Jared Allen had a freak injury last season. Evan Mobley went down, we know that, but even when Mobley was in there and Allen wasn't, Mobley, some nights he played really well at the 5. Other nights did not play very, very well at the 5. Just with J.A. out alone, the Cavs struggled manning the paint. Lopez is a rim protector. This guy has been on almost every team under the sun. He's been in different locker rooms. He is well liked. I think it's a perfect fit, and it's a great addition for a veteran to come in here and help this young team.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, it's a great signing. I love it 100%. They're really rounding out this Cavs team. And, not only did we get Lopez, we got a third backup point guard and Raul Neto.
Yeah, and I think Neto, I think the signing for him was mostly to protect themselves, with Rubio coming back. I think, he's going to be the primary backup point guard, you would think, until Rubio comes back. I don't think he's necessarily going to play that much when Rubio returns. But again, another veteran guy who just distribute the floor, play well, calm everybody down, and you won't feel like you'll lose too much when Darius Garland goes out of the ballgame.
Yeah, and with all these signings, and this kind of brings us to our next point. With all these signings, where does this leave Colin Sexton?
You know what? I've been thinking about this over the last week. And to me, if a team would have offered him a big contract, the ones that we've been talking about, 19, 20, potential out there, they would have probably done it already. You would have thought on day one of free agency, at least I would have thought, maybe put it out there. There was some fake rumor out there about Dallas maybe offering him a contract. That didn't seem to come to light. There was rumors about Washington potentially being interested in Sexton, and they ended up dealing Caldwell Pope, and now they're not interested in him anymore. We talked about Detroit before the draft, and then they drafted Jaden Ivey, so they're not going to need Sexton anymore. I think that the Cavs put out a qualifying offer for Colin Sexton last week, making him a restricted free agent. I think it's $6 or $7 million around there.
From my understanding, and this is all speculation, but I thought I saw it was somewhere in like the 12 million range.
Okay.
I know, they've said that the Mavericks are interested in Sexton, and they might be willing to offer 20 to 21. but I can't imagine they're gonna offer that much if the market's not there for him. I mean, you could offer him 16 and it's still $4 million with the Cavs. So then Sexton has to decide, is he gonna leave the Cavs to go play with Luka and Christian Wood down in Dallas, or is he going to stay with the Cavs?
And here's the thing, with how ball dominant Luka is, obviously he's a great passer. We've seen what he can do. He gets triple doubles mostly in the first half, but he's got the ball in his hand pretty much on 90% of the possessions. It's a little bit different here in Cleveland because I never felt like Garland and Sexton really dominated the ball. The Cavs, I feel like definitely moved the ball a little bit more. I'm just wondering, fit-wise, like, I just feel like Colin would fit kind of better here in Cleveland. I think he would have a better opportunity. His numbers are going to certainly dip, with Dallas. I think if Dallas were to sign him, it'd probably be a multi-year deal, you would think. But again, the Cavs can really match any offer that any other team gives them. So really, I mean, I think it just comes down to the numbers at this point.
They can. I just, the question is, will they? Because, you said his numbers are going to dip down in Dallas, but I feel like his numbers are probably going to dip here in Cleveland as well. Because, if LeVert, if they figure LeVert out, LeVert can create his own shot just as well, if not better, on top of bringing in Agbaji. Even if they ask the question, do they view, I do view Colin Sexton as a the starting two. Do you view Sexton as a starter, or do you view him as someone that would come off the bench? Would we be better served having maybe like LeVert and Agbaji, or LeVert and Okoro, or LeVert and Markkanen, or any of those combinations starting as opposed to coming off the bench, or Sexton a starter for you?
So hindsight is not 2020, as you know. Me and you have debated Colin Sexton here for the 9 months you've been doing this podcast.
Yes, sir.
I have said constantly, I personally would love it if Colin Sexton would come off the bench and be the sixth man. I think it's the perfect role for him. However, I think he and the Cavs view him as the starting shooting guard. And that's the money that he's looking for. And if that's what he's going to get, to me, he's going to make starter money. We hear the reports. So I think he wants to start. I think wherever he goes, I think he is going to start. But I just personally would just love having Garland, maybe LeVert, then whatever combo you want to go, whether it's Okoro or Markkanen with Mobley and Allen, and then off the bench you got Sexton and Agbaji and Love and Lopez and Rubio when he gets back. That to me would be a dream squad for this Cavs team next year, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think if he comes back, he starts.
Something I was just thinking about last night is this Cavs team right now. When you go to the playoffs, you usually have like a 7-8 man rotation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they are like 11 deep. At
least. With Sexton, I think would it be 11 or would it be 12?
Well, I mean, you got Garland, you got Markkanen, you got Mobley, Allen, Okoro on defensive sets, LeVert,
Agbaji.
You can.
Love would make 8.
Love would make 8. Sexton 9.
Rubio
if we
10.
sign him, Rubio 10.
And Lopez 11.
Lopez 11. What if? And on top of that, what if what if you run different sets? Neto could be 12. I mean, Dean Wade.
I completely forgot about Dean Wade. Which is sad because we did bring Dean Wade back, but like it almost felt like, and we talked about Dean Wade. I think I'm the one that said it on the podcast last year. He had the weirdest minutes on the team. Some nights he would play like 10 minutes and come off the bench. Other nights he'd be playing 35 and starting. Like, what's his role gonna be?
And if we keep Jetty, where is he at?
Oh my God! I didn't even think about Jetty. Partially because I do think Jetty. I do think if there's a trade, I think Jetty's out the door. I do think the Cavs are going to make a trade at one point. Sorry,
Jetty is the only pure wing that we have. I just want to point that out.
he is, but I think it's something when the reports already came out when the Cavs re-signed Rubio. Immediately, the report was they're probably going to do a sign and trade with Indiana, and the thought was Dylan Windler or Jetty Osman be involved in that deal. And again, Dylan Windler, a guy who, you thought, I know early on last season could break out potentially for the Cavs. And he had a couple good games and then kind of fell off, got a concussion, had injuries, all this stuff. Like the Cavs just have ball players. The Cavs might be, dare I say this, in a way right now, do the Cavs not have the deepest roster in basketball?
I would say that the Cavs might be one of the top 5 most well-rounded teams in all of basketball. Now, I wouldn't even say that I'm not going to say they're one of the top 5 most talented teams in basketball.
There's a huge difference. I give you that.
Right. But as far as being well-rounded and having players to fill holes where their stars, can actually get a breather, they might be, I think they are the top 5, top 5 and being the most well-rounded teams in all of basketball. I mean, you got the only weakness right now is still point guard, because Neto will give you some solid minutes, but we really still don't have a really solid backup for Garland to run the offense when he's off the floor. So that might be why the Cavs really want to bring back Sexton, because there's no other option.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, like, if you can just get by with Neto until Rubio's ready to go,
But how many games are you? I mean, how many games are we going to need points, and we're not going to be able to get those points because Garland's not in the game?
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. Well, I mean, if Garland's not in the game, this is where, to me, maybe this is why Levert maybe becomes your primary scorer off the bench. You could do that too, and let him kind of create his own shot. Maybe you let Okoro start, with the 2, and maybe Marketing still plays at the 3, so you can get more of Levert running the offense off the bench. That's an option.
Yeah, I mean, and we keep forgetting the X factor here, which is Agbaji. And I know he is a rookie, and I get that, but it's very rare to have a guy a rookie who improved year after year, 4 years.
Yep.
At Kansas, winning a national, but being the star of the national championship winning team. He's 22. He averaged 18 points a game. He averaged, I think, 4 boards, 4 assists. He shot over 40% from 3. He can get to the rim. I think that he's coming in NBA ready. And I
do too. And he was also coached by one of the best coaches in college. That's why Kansas with Phil Self. So I think that will help him. Again, to your point, I do think that he is NBA ready. Again, I just wonder if early in the season, does he make significant splash enough early in the game that maybe the Cavs can count on those points? You never know really what you're going to get from a rookie. I feel like it's first month of the season. They're still trying to figure things out, which is why, you talk about where the point's going to come from. Maybe it's Kevin Love has to get hot at the start of next season again, just to kind of start.
Who knows? Maybe, like I said, we traded for Levert last season. Levert, and it just seemed like they didn't know what to do with him. Maybe he figures it out, and Levert's averaging 18, 20 points a game as well. There's points that are to be had from this team, and they're all over the place. It's just, it's obviously they're still really high on Okoro. They're not getting rid of Okoro. Maybe Okoro is going to figure it out. Maybe he's going to realize that Okoro, and as much as we have said, like we'd have to include Okoro in the deal. Let's put Okoro in the deal. Okoro needs to do this. He needs to do that. He's still young. He's still only 21 years old, I think. If he can figure out that he can get to the rim at will, the kid can slash with the best of them, on top of being one of the top defenders in the league. If he can just figure out that he can get to the rim, he can be a guy that gives you 15 points a game. Something needs to click in his head. And I don't know if because they've been relying on other people, but I know he's been putting the work in. I know, a lot of people have said that he is improving, by the day on his offensive game. So, who knows? I mean, this season I'm so excited for. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, but there's a lot of certainties as well. We know that Garland's going to be a star. We know Everly's making that next step. We know Jared Allen's going to play at an all-star level. We have a ridiculously deep bench. This team is going to make the playoffs next year. I will say it every episode until next season, next playoffs when it happens. But real quickly, moving on, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but Kevin Durant requesting a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. What do you think about it? And best educated guess, where do you think he ends up?
Okay, so I could spend 2 hours on this topic. Listen, I am all for player mobility. I think it's good that players in bad situations say, no, I'm not going to handle this. I want out of this situation. However, with that being said, I think this Durant situation is different than a lot of other stars in the league that maybe have 1 or 2 years left in their contract for a couple of reasons. Kevin Durant just signed last summer a massive 4-year contract extension with the Brooklyn Nets. And now a couple months later, just because they got swept in the first round and just because things aren't going well, all of a sudden, the man who left Golden State to prove he could win a championship without 3 Hall of Famers by his side is now asking out because things got too tough in Brooklyn.
Well, I think it was also a combination of Kyrie losing his mind again.
But Kevin, and the Brooklyn Nets for that matter, you have still a top 5 player in the NBA on your roster. And Kyrie Irving opted in. So, by the way, if Kyrie wants out, you're going to have to trade him because he is now under contract with the Brooklyn Nets. He's on your roster. Ben Simmons is on your roster, whether you like it or not, because James Harden said, I had enough of this. I want out. And they sent him to Philly. In my eyes, Brooklyn, stick it out for at least a year. Make Durant, make Kyrie, make Ben Simmons play. At least give yourself to the trade deadline. If you stink at the trade deadline, you can package up Kyrie because you're going to try to get something for him because he's going to leave at the end of the year. That's fine. I get it. But this, if Kevin Durant gets traded, what will it say to every single player in the league? You don't have to honor your contract whatsoever. If you're on one losing season, you can say, you know what? I want out. Okay, where do you want to go? You want to go to Phoenix? You want to go to Miami? Here you go. Like, no, we can't be doing this anymore. We can't let the players run the entire league. There has to be some control over this. And even if you're even entertaining of trading Durant, his 2 top rumored teams are Miami and Phoenix. Well, I'm sorry about Brooklyn. DeAndre Ayton or Bam Adebayo and a couple of role players in the picks aren't enough for a top 5 player. I know he's 34 years old, but the way I look at it is the way guys are taking care of their bodies now. And listen, I know Durant's been hurt. I know he had the Achilles. I think he's had some other injuries too. But the way guys take care of their bodies now, I actually think Durant, and I know you disagree with me on this a little bit, but I think he's got 3 or 4 years left of prime basketball. So I don't think it's enough. Like if you're Phoenix, I have to include Devin Booker in that deal because Durant is a top 5 player still. I don't understand any of it really.
I tend to agree with you. I think that you need to stick it out in Brooklyn. I don't know. I'm sure a team would, but asking for, it's going to take 4 first-round picks, and it's going to take some good players back to get Kevin Durant. I just don't think a team really has that kind of firepower. I know the Nets want Devin Booker from Phoenix,
and they absolutely should.
And the whole point of Durant wanting to go to Phoenix is to play with Devin Booker.
Yeah,
who I like Devin Booker, but I don't view Devin Booker as one of the best players in the league.
No, but again,
I mean, he's a heck. I mean, he's definitely an all-star.
He's a heck of a player, but he's not going to change your franchise. I think what we're seeing with Durant is Durant may not be able to handle leading a team on his own, but he is a really damn good basketball player that can carry you to a championship if surrounded by good other players. He may not be good leadership wise.
You mean if he's surrounded by Steph Curry and Klay Thompson
or Devin Booker or Chris Paul, whatever you may have you. Look, if Durant had 1 year left on his contract and he was going to leave at the end of the year, I'd say, okay, let's see what we can do. But he just signed a 4-year max extension last summer, and you could really make the argument he's the reason why Ben Simmons and Kyrie are on the team.
Yeah, I agree. I think Brooklyn, you hang on to him, and if there's an offer that does blow you away, and Kevin Durant really does not want to be there, and it's the right deal, then you take it. You get the most that you can for him. You move on, and you start to do whatever you got to do. Whether it's a rebuild, maybe you trade Kyrie as well. Maybe there's a team that wants Ben Simmons for, a bag of potato chips. Who knows? But speaking of, and our last topic, and one that's near and dear to my heart, speaking of Devin Booker is will be announced as the cover athlete for the regular edition of NBA 2K23, which will be launching early in September. However, and I'm going to say this because I like Devin Booker. I really do like Devin Booker. I don't believe he deserved to be on the cover. I think that there was a lot of other players that could have been on the cover. You could, Embiid, Jokic, Darius Garland should have been on the cover. However, the other two additions, Mr. Michael Jordan is going to be on the special editions of the game again. Bring back the Jordan challenges. My God, were those fun in I think it was 2K11.
I remember that, man. Oh,
creating all of his iconic shots and moments. Oh my God, was that so much fun? And congratulations to Devin Booker for being on the standard edition, but I'm definitely getting the highest edition so I can get Michael Jordan on the cover of my box art. And I can't wait to play the game. And I'm sure that we might be having something coming to you guys on our Twitch channel, which is Believe in Media Twitch. Probably be playing some NBA 2K23. And I'll be whooping everybody, every single person with the Cavs.
So, full disclosure, Joey is a PlayStation guy. I am an Xbox guy. I have the Xbox Series S, which for those of you that don't know, it means that all the games are digital. So for me, covers don't really matter for me because to me the game is digital. I mean, you get to see it when you load up the screen. That's pretty much it. I've never really been a cover guy myself. With that said, though, I do agree with you. I mean, there's definitely better options than Devin Booker, but I mean, hey, he's probably going to get endorsed from 2K. He's going to get money. I really think the cover is not really what it used to be anymore. The cover used to be for, the NBA champion or the Super Bowl champion or the World Series, whatever game you play, one of the top, guys in the sport every year. Now I think it's just for whatever player that the young kids really like. They say that are really growing up and getting really popular, because we know now in today's age with all the digital and all the social media, fans are more or less of teams, I think, and more fans of just individual players. And so that's why I think more of these players today get more recognition than they have before. Like I think 10 years ago, there would have been no shot. I don't think that Devin Booker would have been on the cover if you ask me. I think this year, maybe probably 5 years ago, maybe they would have done a Steph individual cover or something like that. It used to be whoever won the championship every year, I thought would get on the cover. That is not the case anymore. But
that was never the case with 2K. 2K was always just whoever they thought deserved to be on the cover. And I'm not saying Devin Booker doesn't. I think that he's one of the best shooting guards in the NBA. But I just think that there's so many good players in the NBA right now. I do want to say my favorite I'm sorry, my least favorite cover of all time was NBA 2K18 because that was the year that Kyrie Irving was on the cover. But then he requested the trade. So there was a cover that was made, and it might have been the first batch, and it had him in a Cavs jersey, and then they remade it, and he was in a Celtics jersey.
I remember that. Now I don't play 2K every year. I usually buy it every even year. So I bought it this year. I'm not the biggest 2K player as I've told you before. You know, with every game, there's obviously good things and there's bad things about the game. But I to me, like 2K is a good game. It kind of plays the same every year. You're not missing a ton.
You gotta play it this year with the Jordan challenges coming back.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. We'll see about that.
All right. Well, guys, that is going to wrap it up for episode number 38 of All Things Cavs. We're going to be back at you next week with more to talk about. I'm sure something's going to happen. But, Brandon, you know, great episode. Pleasure as always. And
pleasure as always, buddy.
You know what to do, my man.
We will